This episode is sponsored by the Slang Self-Doubt Prayer Journal. Over the past 4 years, I have had the opportunity to help over 30 women identify, accept, and take action in the parts of their lives where they feel stuck. My heart's desire is to do that with every woman I come in contact with, but the truth is that's not realistic. So instead, I created a prayer journal that goes through that same journey. The Slang Self-Doubt Prayer Journal is designed for you to dig deep and answer questions that will pull out where you are stuck on your journey. The Slang Self-Doubt Prayer Journal consists of 6 sections of journal prompts and areas for reflections for when you want to dig a little deeper and just take your thoughts to another level. Whether it takes you 6 weeks or 6 months to complete, I promise you will not regret it. Head on over to my website at www.feliciawallace.com and select the Books tab to make your purchase. If you are ready to find your fears and slay them, go to www.feliciawallace.com, select Books, and get your copy today. You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. It's your girl, Coach Felicia, and I hope y'all can tell I feel so much better than I did earlier this week. Thanks for all the well wishes and all the prayers, because I told y'all this pollen has been ridiculous over here, but it's been raining for the past couple of days, or maybe the pollen counts down. It's raining today, but you know what? I receive it. Thank you for it, because I know in a little while it's going to pop back up, but for now, I'm going to just enjoy it. Okay. Welcome to all the new and continued listeners. I see y'all. These new listeners out here, y'all are showing up. I see y'all. But no matter how you found me, whether it was by way of this podcast, another podcast, a guest episode, a solo episode, you see me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you have found me. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the journey. Thank you for joining us. A couple of weeks ago, I was on here. Of course, I was on here. But a couple of weeks ago, I had shared, like, dang, I would love to have like a name to be able to call you guys. And we're trying to think of stuff like, if is it going to be, the tribe, the village, the family, all of those things. And somebody, I'm gonna have to go find who it is so I can give them the credit for it. But somebody recommended Slayers. And I was like, oh, okay, I like that. Slaying Self-Doubt Slayers. So hello and welcome, all my slayers, okay? Because that's what we doing every single day. We are slaying. And so, slayers, if y'all have not subscribed to the newsletter, you need to get on it, okay? I shared with y'all last week that we have the Slaying Self-Doubt Society Facebook group. I need you to get connected with that. In the future, what I will be doing is going live in there and having conversations for us to be able to just talk. So I need y'all in there. So again, so it's not just me talking to myself. So I need you to click the link in the show notes to join the Facebook group so you can be a part of the Slayer community. Okay, that's what we are now. Like, I might have to get used to saying that. But let me tell y'all what else y'all slaying out here. These downloads, okay? Because I just recorded this on Tuesday, right? Yeah, because I wasn't feeling good, Monday or Tuesday of this same week. And I was at like 40,400 and something. Yo, today I go look and I'm at 41 something. Either way, it hit 41. I kept typing the numbers in and was like, this can't be right. Typing the numbers in again. Y'all know the goal is 50,000 downloads this year. Like, at this point, we're going to surpass the 50,000. Like, we're already at. I just need 9 more thousand, really. Like, and we have months to go. Like, what we month 5 right now. Like, we still have time. I'm so grateful for y'all. I'm so grateful for y'all listening, for you sharing, for you just continuing to support me, support this journey, slaying with me. Okay, I'm so excited, y'all. Remember, we got merch. We just out here trusting God. Hoodies. It's still hoodie season in the DMV. clearly. T-shirts for the summer, whatever y'all want to do, like go ahead. And these are unisex. So they are for females and for men. So Father's Day is coming up in June. Go ahead and get Pops a hoodie. You know what I'm saying? Dudes wear hoodies all year round. So go ahead and get them a hoodie. And the link is in the show notes. And then journals are still on sale through Amazon. The link is in the show notes. We got holidays coming up, your birthdays, graduations, whatever it is. Go ahead and get the journal to give people a way to be able to dig deep, to start learning how to slay their own stuff. You know what I'm saying? Slay their own self doubt. Like that's what we doing here, slayers. That's what we doing. We slaying. Okay. I'm telling y'all, I'm about to I'm about to mess y'all up with this slayers joint. It's just gonna be everywhere. But anyway, this week we are doing a part 2 of me talking about how my insecurity showed up at work. And so last week I was kind of giving y'all like really how I struggled believing that I was even equipped to do a job that I was recommended for. Wasn't anything I went out to do, wasn't something that I was like, oh, this is now. Let me say this. In my journey of my career, when I started in healthcare, I definitely said, hey, one day I would love to be a practice manager of my own office. So it wasn't like it was far-fetched. It just was, I think at the time, I didn't think I was ready. I don't know when, because again, remember last week we talked about, the biggest things that people thought, oh, it was my age because I was 27. And when you think about it, in a lot of locations, a lot of places, when you see managers and leaders, a lot of times they're older. They're in their, late 30s, maybe mid 30s, 40s and up, right? Because they have the experience, with my air quotes. And so at 27 years old, I doubted myself. Like, I'm still trying to figure my own life out. Like, how am I about to be leading other people? But I realized that was a part of part of this whole journey, because ultimately what God wanted to do for me, that was a part of this journey that was going to lead me to here, right? And so knowing that was where I was going, it had to be a part of what, like it had to show up here, right? So me not knowing that was ultimately, knowing that is what I wanted to do, but me not knowing that this was the next step of that, the practice manager, that position had to happen sooner, right? Because if in my mind it was supposed to happen now, I'm supposed to be doing this. So how is that possible? I wouldn't be able to do this if I would, if I go by my plan, which was would be the time that I'd be ready to be a leader. I would be wrong, right? Because this wasn't a part of, this is a part of God's plan, not what I wanted to do. And so when we talk about this week, I wanted to talk about, I think last week I said something to the effect of, like, you feel like you're not moving or something like that. Sometimes God will, you don't understand, like you're asking him for something and you don't realize that whatever it is he's building in you for the next thing, he's building for you right in that space. And so I've shared with you all before that while I was there, like I knew I was destined for something greater. I knew I was destined for more. I just didn't know what it was. I knew it wasn't to move up, right? Because the next position and where I was at was to be a director, and to do continue moving up in senior leadership. And I knew that's not what I wanted. Like I once I got to a certain place, I was clear, this is not my end, right? This is not where I will retire. This is that's like it's not happening. I'm not spending, 30 years in this organization. I already knew that. I just didn't know what was going to happen, what it was going to look like, what was coming next, all of those different things. And so and I want to say, when I started really just being like, okay, God, what's next for me? What am I going to do? What's the thing? He started changing me right where I was at. He started showing me that I needed to show up differently in the space that I was in, right? And a lot of times we want God to move us into a different space. Like, Lord, I know this ain't it. So like, move me here. And No, he's not going to do that because the reality is that there's still some things that we need to learn about ourselves. I think a lot of times we forget or we don't think or we don't pay attention to the fact that you are what he is molding, not other people, not the situation. And so if he can't take you and put you into a different situation and he don't feel like that you're ready for it, or he don't feel like that you are capable of doing what it is that he is entrusting you to do, why would he move you? This is just like in any situation. Why would you, you think about kids when they driving or whatever have you. Like if you're not, when you start out driving, most of us, from what I can remember, most of us, you know what I'm saying, uh we was driving back roads. We wasn't on no highway, like, because it's too big. It's too scary. So would you put a 16-year-old who just got their license out on the highway? No. You'd be like, you gonna drive to the store, take these two rights and a left, and then I'm gonna do the rest, right? Like you do a little bit of things until they build their confidence, until they're ready to go out there. Now, in the beginning, they may be up, scooching a little bit, stay in your right lane now because you're not ready to be in that left lane. That left lane is fast and flowing, right? Those are for the people who have been doing this, who are ready, who are confident in their skills. And even still, when we're using this as an example about driving, people still get in accidents. Stuff still happens because sometimes people get too comfortable. Then they think, oh, I know how to drive. I can do this on cruise control and I can, put on my makeup, send a text message, have a concert, all that stuff. And then you don't see the thing that's coming from the side because you're way too comfortable in your space. But when you first start out, you were paying attention to everything. Okay, you paying attention to how your hands are. You paying attention to the people in front of you, the people behind you. Oh, they look like they driving real fast. Let me slow down. Now, why are you slowing down? Because they moving fast behind you. What they got to do with you? Nothing. And I'm speaking this from experience, okay? Because that's what I used to do. I used to slow down myself because the people behind me was moving too fast. And I'd be like, oh, I don't want them to hit me. And so they don't hit me, I'm going to slow down. Well, you child, you putting yourself in the line of fire anyway. Just go with the flow of traffic. Anyway, when you're in that space, like you're not just gonna throw nobody out there. So he's not about to throw you out there. So even if he knew that slaying self-doubt was what it is that he wanted me to do, he knew that this was going to be, I couldn't handle it in 2017. I couldn't handle this in 2017. There's no way. I did not have the growth. I did not have the maturity. I did not have the experience. I did not have the knowledge. I did not have the wisdom to be able, I wasn't ready to, even though he gave me the words, I wasn't ready to execute. I wasn't ready to walk it. I wasn't ready to show up in my full strength. And so when you are looking for something else and you wonder like, oh, why you not moving me? Why I gotta stay here? What is going on? You were supposed to be learning something. It's not about your supervisor. It's not about your coworkers. It's not about nobody else but you. You have something else that you need to learn. You have something else that you need to figure out. And so you got to go back to him and you got to ask him, what is it? What is it that I need to learn in this situation? What is it that why are you keeping me here? And for me, my biggest thing was the fact that I didn't, one, I told you I was an enabler, right? And so I had to let go. He had to teach me surrender and what that looked like. Was it 100% perfect? No, but I know what it looks like now. Whereas before, I was holding on to everything and I needed, people to know that I could do the work. And so I'm gonna just keep doing the work. No, I had to surrender to the people around me. I had to surrender and trust that they knew what they were doing. Like these are all things that he was working in me. And I had to be able to say, okay, well, if I can, there's no way I can leave comfortably as I knew my integrity. I was not going to leave comfortably, just leave them hanging. I needed them to be able to function without me. But that also meant that I needed them to function without me. There's no way I would have been able to learn that and also learn things about myself until I actually did it. Because what I ended up having to do is I turned from still being in a leadership position, but turn into more of a coach. Because then what we started talking about is not just about doing your job here. It started to be conversations about like, what do you want to do next? Where are you trying to go? What are the things? What are your goals in the future? Like, how can I help you get there? What classes you want to sign up for? What training you want to take? Like, what are you doing 5 years from now, right? And so that part in helping them, and it also helped me to be able to figure out, okay, this is whatever this is, I have to learn this now because I'm not going to be able to do that later. And I take that into what I'm doing now. Now, with that being said, I take the things that I learned in my job and the things that I learned during that time, and I put them into my entrepreneurship journey. But you know what else I brought into my entrepreneurship journey? I brought in my insecurities. I brought my insecurities home. I brought that fear home. I brought that doubt home. I brought all of those things home because here I was again. If you've been listening to this podcast or following me on social media for a while and you're ready to start your journey to healing, or you're ready to confront your doubts and insecurities, there are 3 ways I can help. First, you can download the journal prompt from my website. Use this as a guide to get back on track with where God is calling you. Secondly, you can go to my website and purchase the Slaying Self-Doubt Prayer Journal. Using this prompt and journal will pull out where you are stuck on your journey. These questions will force you to dig deep and find your fears. Lastly, if you're ready to invest in your healing journey and work directly with me, book a 30-minute connection call with me today. This allows us to see if we are a good fit for each other. So head on over to my website, www.feliciawallace.com, to do one or all 3 of these. That's www.feliciawallace.com. Now, back to the show. Here I am being recommended for a position that I didn't ask for a position that, I mean, I maybe, but maybe I wasn't where, maybe I saw it. I don't think so. Well, no, not for this. I never saw myself being an entrepreneur. I never saw myself here. And so I brought all of that stuff into here. And that, what has that done is caused me lots of delays. It caused me to stop and start. Like I'm in this, I feel like I'm in the right lane. I'm in the right lane and I am driving the speed limit or maybe even below sometimes. Sometimes I feel good and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm cruising at 60, let's go. But then I put the brakes on, right? And I'm worried about what's happening with everybody else. And I'm worried about, should I slow down? Should I speed up? Should I slow down? Should I go? Well, should I turn? Should I stay? All of that stuff, being focused with everything else instead of like my progress. And I have to take this same thing that I did before and say, okay, God, show me. Show me what it is that you need me to see in this moment. What is it that I need to be able to do right here in this space so that you can do your work, because ultimately I know that this is not me, this is you. And so because I keep inserting myself into situations, and because I keep inserting my insecurities and inserting my fears and all this other stuff, things are being delayed. And what I'm telling you is that when you are in a space where you can acknowledge, like, this is the thing that I'm afraid of, this is the fear that I have, this is the thing, that's great. But I'm telling you from experience, you have to move forward. You have to put your foot on the gas. You have to go. You can't keep cruising. You can, but stuff gonna pass you by. You're gonna come up on your exit real slow. Can you imagine how long it'll take you to get to an exit that you could probably get to in, 5 minutes? And because you under the speed limit, it take you 10. The time that goes by, what you could have missed. Now, there could be all different type of perspectives. You know how sometimes you drive it in and you be like, oh Lord, I'm glad I ain't go that way because it was an accident and it must have been a reason why I shouldn't have gone there. Yes, I agree, all of those things. But then sometimes it's you. Sometimes you cause your own delay. Sometimes you're late because you're late. Right? Like you're late because you got up and you didn't do nothing. You watched TV, you scrolled on Instagram, you running behind because you worried about everybody else and everything else, right? And we have a tendency to turn it around and make it seem like, oh, okay, Lord was looking out for me. No, you late because you late. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And what I am learning and realizing in this whole journey of what has been happening, what I've been doing, is that these things, these insecurities, these doubts, these fears, all of this stuff, this I can't even think of like one word to describe it, but these obstacles that I continuously kind of put in my space and kind of put in my way. And I say to myself, like, oh, I can't do this because of this, or this is the reason why. Like, it's draining, is what it is. It is draining. It is draining. Emotionally, physically, mentally draining, because what we're doing is that we continue to put ourselves into this cycle and we continue to look and say, oh, I know that this is it. And I know you're asking yourself the same question. I'm like, what do we do? What do we do? And what do I always say? The action. We have to take action. You have to figure out what's one thing you can do to move forward. What's one thing that you can really, what are the things that you need to do? And a lot for me was in this season of my life was everything that I had done before now got me to here, right? And I'm grateful for that. But now this is a different season. And what I was doing before isn't going to get me to there. Like you can't do that. You ever, even when you like working out, right? Like you can do cardio, but then after a while, you ever see people notice when you're doing it and you like, I plateaued, right? You plateau because you ain't done nothing different. You're doing the same thing over and over again, thinking you're going to get this more results. No, whatever worked before got you here, but now you need to step your game up. And that's where I am right now. I'm in a space of like, you have to step your game up. You have to. I told my husband earlier today, I was like, one of the things that I think that has been the biggest like setback or obstacle for me is that I was like, I haven't actually always like bet on me. I'm being 100% honest. Like I was like, what would it look like if I was just to put all my money on black? Like what would that look like? You know what I mean? Like you, if you were to take that same energy that you put into your doubts and put into your fears and put into the what ifs and all of that stuff, what if you were to take it and put all that energy in the what if it works? It's scary to say, trust me, because immediately for some of us, all the our wires are like, but what if it don't work? But what if it only work for a little bit of time? But what if it? But you won't know because we spend more time. We spend more time in the what if it don't than we do in the what if it do. And I'm saying that for me, my change is I have to spend more time in the what if it do, because there are things that are moving, there are things that are happening that are showing me if acceleration is possible, right? It was in February or January that we were at 35,000 downloads. And every single week, I'm like, between, I was saying like 7 or 15 days, we moving up 1,000. And I'm like, this is actually happening. Here it was all last year. I was like, oh, we're going to get to 50,000 downloads. And I was like, oh, we was close. We was at 30 something, started the year with, I think, 34, whatever have you. So I was like 33. And then I'm like, here, okay, because I'm thinking about last year, right? I'm in the past and saying, well, last year we ain't make it. All right, maybe I might get to 42. You know what I'm saying? Like add an extra. But I'm like, hold up. If this is what happens when you put all your energy into one thing. I'm watching this thing grow and I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, not only are we getting more downloads, like we in more countries now. We are, more people are knowing about the podcast. Like, there's so many things that are happening that I'm like, mm, is this happening the way it's supposed? That's the reason why I'm still so surprised, because I stayed in the what if it don't. What we probably not gonna reach it. Like this is, a lot of times you will hear entrepreneurs talk about they made the 6,000, I mean the six figures, the 7 figures. They out here telling you, oh, you got to do these 3 things and you'll be able to. No, the real life thing is that every single day will be a struggle. Every single day you will wonder why you're doing this. Every single day you will contemplate finding a real job with some consistency. Every single day you will be like, what am I doing here? And your doubt and your self-doubt will show up and be right in your face. You have a choice. You have a choice as to whether or not you decide to give into that and listen to that fear and be like, yeah, you're right. What if we don't? What if we don't? But then you also have the same option to say, I hear you over there, but I'm going to say that we're going to hit 50,000 downloads. And this is the way I'm going to hit 50,000 downloads. This is how I'm going to ensure that it happens. This is how I'm going to make sure that more people know about it. Because if I put my energy into it actually happening, then I have more ideas of how I can get it to happen. How can I get this in? How can I get Slaying Self Doubt podcast into more ears? How can I get more people to talk about it? How can I get more of this? How can I get it so that I do hit the 50,000? But if that is a complete, that's a change for me. But if I last year I was like 50 is that's a high number. We probably ain't gonna get it signed. Ain't about to worry about it. That gets you nowhere because that's what you do, right? When you in doubt and you in fear, you don't even put no energy into it because you already told yourself that it ain't gonna happen. So since it ain't gonna happen, it ain't even no need for me to bring it up because I already know it's not gonna happen. That's how we set ourselves up. That's how we self-sabotage. That is how we things don't happen because you're not taking any action to make sure that it does happen. Whereas this year I was like, okay, we hitting 50. Like that's what we hitting, right? And in order for me to hit $50,000, let me think of what I need to do. Hey, guess what? I need to tell my audience every single week we trying to hit 50. So share with more people. I need to make sure that I'm putting it out there on different platforms. And every time I say something or every time I'm talking to somebody, every time I talk to somebody in person, I let them know that I have a podcast. I am encouraging people to say stuff. I am going and saying, hey, I need to be on other podcasts so I can get people to come on to share my platform with somebody else. I need to be on someone else's platform. These are things that I have to do in order to grow the podcast. Otherwise, I'm going to be right where I was. But because I'm just taking those little steps, that's action. I'm taking those actions by just doing it. Look at what's happening. The growth is happening because I'm doing the work. Remember, we talk faith without works is dead. You can believe all day long in one or the other. But if you don't do nothing behind it, the latter will happen. Nothing will happen if you do nothing. And so, when we talk about that probably went left, but it all makes sense. I know it did. It made sense for me. But when you talk about how my insecurity showed up at work and your insecurity showing up at work, like I said, it's in whatever it is that you do. So if you don't get a hold and get that in check right now, and you don't figure out how your self-doubt shows up, that's what you need to know. You need to know what it is. Like I know mine is procrastination. I know the first thing is worry. I worry about the worst things happening. And then it leads into procrastination. So now when I feel myself in that space, I have to ask myself, okay, but why are you not doing this? What is it that you are worried about? Oh, I'm scared that, I'm worried that if I do it and it doesn't work, right? Remember, it's a thought first. And then it's a feeling. So then I feel like anxious and all the other stuff. And then the action is either I lean into that and say, yeah, it's probably not going to work. I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to just take on my fear. Or I'm going to say, well, let me just see. Let me just see what happens. And then I put myself out there and then somebody says, oh, I would love to have you on the show. Then I'm like, yes, okay, let's go. You know what I mean? Like you don't know how things are happening behind you. You don't know what it is that God is doing in front of you, but you have to keep moving. You have to keep doing stuff. And so today my encouragement to y'all is just figure out what it is. Seriously, I need you to figure out what it is. And if you need help figuring out what that thing is, this is what I'm here for. This is my assignment, right? This is what I'm here for. This is why I coach. I coach to be able to help you figure out what is that thing that's holding you back? What is that thing that's keeping you from doing what it is that you're called to do? What is that thing that is stopping you every single time you try to move forward? That is why I'm here. So if you want to know what it is and you can't figure it out on your own, or you do know what it is, but you don't even know how to take the first step, I'm telling you, the first step is to book a call with me. The first step is to book a call with me. Okay, sis, book a call with me and let's figure it out. Let's figure it out together because you can't do it in isolation. I'm not gonna say you can't do it because I did it, sorta. But no, actually, I didn't do it. I had a community. Slaying Self Doubt was a community before it was Slaying Self Doubt. I had a community and didn't even know. So that's what you need. You need a community of slayers. Okay, we need a community of slayers to help you figure out what it is and honestly, to be able to push you into that space, to push you into action. That's what you need. A community of slayers to push you into action. And that is what we are here for. So join the Facebook group, book a connection call with me to do some one-on-one coaching, and let's do this. Like, for real, we are here to make changes, do the things that God has called us to do. And we can't do that just sitting still. We can't do that. You know what's on your heart. You know what it is. If this is for you and you are like, God has been prompting me, and I don't know what it is, I'm telling you what it is. I'm telling you that you need my help. I'm telling you to go to my website, book a connection call, and let me help you. Period. That is my assignment. That is what God called me to do. That's why I'm here. So do your part so I can do my part. Okay. Because I can't be blessed if you're not blessed. That's how this works. It's the reciprocity. It's the cycle that happens. I'm here and I'm being obedient so that you will be obedient, because your obedience is connected to somebody else. So that if you won't do what God called you to do, then someone else is waiting on you. I'm telling you, I'm waiting for you to call me. Hello. As always, thank y'all for rocking with me. Make sure that you grab a We Just Out Here Trusting God t-shirt or hoodie. Make sure you get a journal for yourself, maybe a friend or a family member. If you were interested in working with me, make sure you call me today. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. Share this episode with 10 people, y'all. We are trying to hit 50,000 downloads, and y'all, we are almost there. We are almost there. So I need y'all to keep sharing. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at Slaying Self Doubt. Until next week, see ya. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.